name is Robert Unger. I'm the Director of Worship and Music at Resurrection Lutheran Church in Cary, North Carolina. Today I'd like to reflect on the hymn, "In the Cross of Christ I Glory." To start, I'd like to read to you a short passage from Galatians, chapter 6, verse 14. Paul says, "May I never boast, except in the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ." The cross is a fitting symbol for Christianity. Many hymns have been written which have the cross as part of the title. When the World Trade Center collapsed following the terrorist attack on September 11, 2001, the workers that were excavating the site found a cross-shaped beam standing upright amid the ruin and debris. It became a makeshift center of worship. The picture of that cross was published around the world and served as a symbol of hope. There's a similar story associated with this hymn. On the island of Macau, in the region of Hong Kong, there was a magnificent cathedral, and it was destroyed. Only the front wall remained. Atop that wall was a great metal cross. It was blackened with age, silhouetted against the sky, and it is said that the hymn writer John Bowring was so inspired by the story of this cathedral that he wrote, "In the cross of Christ I glory," towering o'er the wrecks of time. Bowring was born into a Puritan family in Exeter, England in October 1792. At one time, he wanted to become a clergyman. When he was 13, he left school to work for his father, who was a cloth merchant. He was highly educated and a true genius. His studies included philosophy, literature, and the authenticity of documentation, poetry, politics. He was an extraordinary linguist. It is said that he could speak 22 languages fluently and was able to converse in at least 100. Bowring was awarded the degree of Doctor of Laws in Denmark in 1828. He immersed himself in writing, especially translations of Eastern Europe works. Bowring became active in politics. He was a strong champion of social reform, including the education of the citizenry, prison reform, the abolition of flogging in the Navy, and various movements to help the poor and the underprivileged. He was a distinguished politician and government officials, and he was a member of the British Parliament. He served as a general in Hong Kong, and in 1854 became its governor. He was also an accomplished poet who wrote many hymns. In 1825, when he was about 23 years old, he wrote the poem, "Watchmen, Tell Us of the Night," not realizing that it would become an Advent hymn, which is sung in many Protestant hymnals. "In the Cross of Christ I Glory" was written about the story of a virtually destroyed cathedral that stood with an opposing bronze cross silhouetted against the sky. The cathedral had been built by Vasco da Gama 3.5 centuries earlier. Towering the cross became a symbol of Christ's glorious kingdom, standing through the ages. The facade of the cathedral today looks like a prop on a movie set. The front wall is standing, capped with the majestic cross. Nothing else remains. When he retired, Bowring retired to his Exeter estate, and he died in 1872. On his tomb was inscribed in bold letters the words, "In the cross of Christ I glory." The hymn to this tune is called Rathbun. It was composed by Ithamar Conkey, who was the organist of Central Baptist Church in Norwich, Connecticut. In 1849, Central's pastor had planned a series of sermons on the 7 last words of Christ from the cross. According to the Norwich Bulletin, one Sunday during the series, it was a rainy day. Mr. Conkey was sorely disappointed that the members of the choir did not show up. Only one soprano came. Mr. Conkey was so discouraged and disheartened that after the prelude, he closed the organ and locked it and went home to his house. The pastor and choir gallery were at opposite ends of the church, and he could leave without attracting the attention of the congregation. That afternoon, as he sat down at the piano for practice, his mind was distracted with the thoughts of the sermons. Dr. Hissock had prepared, and the words of the hymn, "In the cross of Christ I glory." Then he composed music that is now so universally familiar with this tune and melody and words in churches of every denomination, and it's known as Rathbun. He admitted that the inspiration was a vivid contradiction of his feelings that morning at the service. Why did he choose the name Rathbun? The one choir member who showed up on that rainy Sunday in 1849, that one faithful soprano, was named Mrs. Beriah S. Rathbun. I'd like to read verse 4 of this song. Pain and blessing, pain and pleasure, by the cross are sanctified. Peace is there that knows no measure. Joys that through all time abide. This devotion that I'm going to read now is from a book called Ponder Anew. Not, I like suffering. Not, I can do whatever I set my mind to. Not, don't worry, be happy. I have learned the secret of being content in every and any situation, Paul says. What's the secret? What gives you peace when you are in need as well as when you have plenty? What keeps you from sinful self-reliance when you are well-fed as well as when you are hungry? What makes the ups and downs and the banes of the blessings, pain and pleasure, possible to bear? What's Paul's secret? Paul knows the risen Jesus. That changes everything. Because you know Jesus, your success and security leads to prayers of thankfulness and dependence. Because you know Jesus, your lack of uncertainty leads to prayers of deep need and dependence. All the gifts God gives in this present creation, you can receive with joy from Jesus, the gift giver. All the pain you will ever know, you will suffer through with Jesus, the burden sharer. You already know the secret. You share all your griefs and joys with Jesus. And you are still learning to live out that secret, little by little, doing all things through the one who gives you strength.